Hello, hello, Ederson Oliveira here for the Solo Coder, and that's our second interview. I have here with me my great Australian friend, Ted Makukutu. Ted is, well, I just said from Australia. Ted, introduce yourself.
Hi guys, yep. My name is Thaddeus Makukutu, but call me Ted if it's hard to pronounce. Yep, I'm in Brisbane, Australia, Queensland, and yeah, .NET development.
Perfect. So you answered the first question. The first question is, what breed of solo coder are you? So you said that you are a .NET developer. Great. Now, I just want to give a little bit of context here. So Ted is yet another one of those people that I call a part of my mastermind group. I mean, I can count in uh, one hand the number of people that I talk frequently about business, about life in general, but more specifically about business. And he's a coder, I'm a coder. He used to work for a client of mine a few years ago. That's back 2010, and that's how long we have been friends. So just about 6 years. So again, we have been in touch since then, and that's how. Just to give you guys a little bit of context here, we meet every other week, and we talk about business. We talk about what we're going through, and again, he is one of the few people that I it's near and dear to me, and I consider part of my mastermind group. So let's move on. It's not about me; it's about you, Ted. So why did you move from a full-time employment to your solo coder career?
Well, the reasons are there are a few reasons to pick from actually. Usually, it's the desire for freedom to run your own life and do your own thing. Um, yeah, so yeah, I'd say I fall into that bucket, where you want to do your own thing. You don't really want to set on how much income you can get, and then on top of that, we are in this, technology revolution. So you feel that, look, if I can get out there and do my own thing, God willing, I can make some good money.
Okay, now there is something very particular to what you did and the background that you come from. You are not you started working as a developer just a few years ago. So while you did the transition from employment to a solo coder career, you actually start to learn to code during that transition as well. So again, I just want you to give a bit of context about that and talk a little bit about that experience of learning as you go along.
Okay, yeah, yeah. So when I started, I graduated from uni with accounting, and I was working in a publishing firm. Was doing I started off in sales and sales management, and then when I became general manager, at the general manager place, that's when I realized we had a bottleneck in the business in production. We didn't have a technology system to help us manage the jobs efficiently and quickly and so on. So that's when we met you, Edison, and you and your team. I think there were about three guys, you and three guys in your team. And for me, it was it was an incredible experience whereby I would say, here's an Excel report that I want for the number of jobs we have in the system. I'll give it to you, and then the next week you would come and I would have this view on the web application showing me all the jobs and all the customers, and you would basically bring that Excel sheet to life. And I thought that was the most amazing thing. And I remember asking you, and I said, so how do I get into this? How do I learn this? And you told me, oh, you need to know a bit of SQL, you need to know C# and stuff. So lo and behold, in my night time, I started burning some midnight oil and started learning SQL and C# and .NET. And probably after maybe 4 years of that, that's when I made the big jump.
Now, again, Ted will never say that, but he is very a great MVC developer. Okay, so again, he started just a few years ago, but he really, really knows his stuff. He works with
Yes.
Angular and MVC, so again, he's not playing around. He's not messing around. He's really doing very serious coding there. Much more serious than I will ever do in my life. That's just a side note. But next one here. So what was the hardest part during the transition, Ted? I mean, again, you transition from full time to your solo career there. What was the aspect that you found to be the hardest one?
The hardest part, I think, is mindset. Like there's the story of the butterflies in the jar, and they say you put them in the jar, you close the lid. It's not butterflies. I'm sure it's not butterflies. But what you do is you keep that jar closed for a long time. If you eventually open the jar, they will still circle within the jar, something like that. They won't get out, even though they could get out. So it's a mindset thing. So that's what I found the hardest, whereby you've got this mindset that it's imprinted in you about employment and working for people and blah, blah, blah. And this is not just a mindset that you picked up on your own. You know, your parents are probably coming from there, and the culture. Everybody out of uni is thinking, gotta get a job, gotta get a job. The whole solo thing is not something that anybody pushes, or not too many people push or promote. So the mindset, that was the hardest part. The second bit of that, which I didn't have at the time when I made the jump, was family. And yeah, if you have a young family, a small family, yeah, it's it's 10 times as hard, because yeah, in a lot of ways, family is driven, and family and wife, and this, it's about security and providing for your family. And going solo is the exact opposite of that, at least for a while.
So, if I ask you, what is working for you? What are the things that you have tried so far that did work for you?
The biggest thing I can find, the thing that really comes to mind for me is uh, networking has been a really big part, because I got out there. I joined a group called the Business Network International. There are many chapters around the world, and yeah, I was a member of that, and I would say 90% of my business came through that. That's how I got clients. That's how I built the system up, and yeah. So that's the first step, I have to say. The second step is a site called pluralsite.com. Godsend, that site. I could learn anything in a 24-hour period.
Okay, perfect. So you mentioned there a few things that are working for you. What are one or two things that did not work or are not working for you?
Well, what I found once you go solo is you're now trying to build a business. And building a business is a whole different kettle of fish. It's it's now, you're now talking marketing, financing, administration. So coding becomes a very small part of it. So yeah, so you have to realize that if you, at least for me, what I realized was making the jump to become solo meant I was no longer a coder, or at least just a coder. I was now a business person, um, and that's the challenge. And now business person means eventually you're going to need to pull yourself out of the coding, and have a team to work with and so on, because there's all this other stuff that you need to do that takes time.
Got it. Got it. Okay, okay. So just wanted to quickly mention that differently from my personal strategies, which I do a lot of online um, client acquisition, if you may say, Ted does a lot of local. So again, he goes very local. It has worked very well for him. I do online, he does local. Again, we have a little bit of divergence there. But again, just a side note. I want to get back to another question here. You said that what was not working, what was challenging. Now, I know that you are going through a dilemma right now. Let me put it this way. And if you are okay with that, if you want to talk through that and maybe, I don't know, have us listening to your dilemma, and we might even give our 2 cents.
Yep, cool. So my dilemma is this is so my first product that I've launched, uh, it's on the verge of bankruptcy basically. It's on the verge of going bust. So now I'm in a position where one of my clients, associates, networks, he's basically offered me an opportunity to come into their business as a somewhat of a technical manager, a lead, and lead one of the business units that's responsible for line of business applications, specifically MVC, C Sharp, Angular front end. It's a great proposition, with it's a salary position with potential down the line for an equity stake slash spin-off from their main business. The guys, it's a bunch of smart guys. They're moving heaven and earth, really, with what they're doing. So to even be associated with them, to work with them would be really, really good. Would be great. Yeah. So the dilemma is my first business basically is on its way out. A lot of lessons learned, a lot of the stuff I'm saying here, especially the stuff about as a coder, if you take the jump, you've got to realize that now you're a businessman. You actually have to be a businessman first before you're a coder. And I am in this position right now where that business is going bust because of that mistake, whereby I put my hat on more than I put my businessman hat on more. So now I've got to make a decision whether I will go back into gainful employment and get some good security. I've got a family now, I've got 2 kids, and with some potential upside down the line, with a bunch of great guys, learn a lot of cool stuff. Without all the risk and loneliness of running your own thing.
So, sorry, go ahead.
So I mean, so that's the dilemma. Or do I take the lessons from the first project I did and make the necessary changes and get back on the horse, get back in the ring, and keep fighting. To give you an illustration, is when I was about 29 years old, 30 years old, I decided to do something crazy. I went and did Muay Thai, which is Thai kickboxing. I'd never done it before, so anyway, I started going to the gym, and I went there, and these guys, they're a bunch of crazy people, like tough guys, in a sense. So I say to the coach, I say, I really want to get in the ring one day, let me know when you think I'm ready, maybe 6 months, 12 months. He's like, mate, in a month, there's some fights coming up, you get in, you're ready. I was like, huh? Anyway, I said yes. And in a month, I was in that ring, and I got smashed. And I remember at the end of the fight, I was sitting outside. I had a big bag of ice over my head, and I was like half dead. But I always say to people, that was like the best day of my life. And that's because I had faced my fear, and I hadn't died. To me, that was huge. It's like I stepped in the ring, I poured my heart and my soul out, and yes, I lost, but I hadn't died. And actually that day was it was during that time that I actually took the jump to start my own business, because it's yeah, the fear factor of leaving employment to do your own thing is a big thing, and for me it was. And so what happened after that fight is, the minute I left that fight, the next week or the week after that, I was back in the gym, and now I knew what I needed to learn. I knew what I had done wrong. I knew what I needed to learn. I knew what's a waste of time, doesn't work in a fight. Don't even bother. And I made sure I talked to my coach and I said, look, I want some private lessons as well. And I really worked. And I had my second fight. And guess what? I won my second fight, but it was by the skin of a hair, but nonetheless a victory none the same. And the minute I won, I got out. I never did Muay Thai again. So essentially, I'm undefeated. But the moral of the story, in my opinion, was that you got to get in, learn the lessons, get thrashed, but make sure you figure out what you don't know and polish up and get back in. So right now, the dilemma I'm in is that I'm literally at the bottom of the barrel, where my first project has gone down, and now I've got a family, I've got 2 kids, I need the security. So I'm at a place where I have to choose between 2 paths. One is, I know what I did wrong with the first business and make the necessary adjustments going forward. Or, so basically get back in the ring. Yes, I'm still going to take some knocks, but hopefully I've learned enough to not lose again. And especially with a family behind me, I can't really afford to lose. So that's one path. The other path is to say, no, let me take a paid position. And it's got some potential upside down the track. Hopefully that business unit can grow, and I can get some equity share in it in the long run. But at least I'll have security for my family. Because that's a very important thing.
You,
Yeah.
you said there that you knew what you did wrong
Yeah.
before. What was that?
Oh man, the first thing I did wrong with my previous project is I tried to do everything myself. So I was doing the coding myself, I was doing the marketing myself, I was doing the business analyst myself, I was doing the administration myself. I so the doing everything yourself is a big no-no. The first thing you want, in my opinion, is to get a business partner. So at the least, you need one, and somebody on the front, somebody on the back. So all that means is somebody responsible for bringing in business, somebody responsible for doing the work. At the least, if you can have 3 of you and you split it up even more, from say the sales and marketing to bring it in, the production and the delivery, and then maybe the management and administration. But at the least have to. So that's the first mistake I made. I did it on my own. The second, the second thing that I, the second thing that I did wrong was I didn't get a mentor slash coach. So find somebody who's done what you are trying to do, or at the least find a business coach, because you are right. If you go solo, you're essentially running a business. And get a business coach, and straight off the bat, they will be on to you about your financials, your costs, your projections, your planning, and everything. So that's the second definite mistake I made. The third mistake I made, this one I see it everywhere now. I don't know, do you guys have these cooking shows in Canada? I'm sure you do, where restaurant shows where they go in and they transform a restaurant. So there's Restaurant Impossible, there's Resort Rescue, all these kind of shows. And a lot of the time when you watch those shows, the mistake that all the restaurateurs do, I can't, forgive my English, guys, English is a second language, but one of the mistakes they always do is they do too much. They want to serve the entire world. uh, and the more you watch those shows, you'll find that in 8 out of 10 of the shows, that's one of the mistakes the entrepreneur will make. And that's one that I did. The product I made, it had such a wide scope. I was trying to do everything under the sun. So that's the third mistake. And if I go the second run, I won't be making that mistake. I will make sure I pick my battles very carefully, and I'll focus and specialize on that and just deliver that. And what that does is it actually forces you to make strategic alliances with people who do the other stuff, who are really good at that. So now you refer them where you are not good at, and they refer you because they're not good at what you do. So that's the third mistake. And yeah, so the fourth one was bottom line, cash flow. So what that means is with coding, in my case, I went for a product to build a product that you sell as a SaaS. So if you did go down that route, financing or runway, as they call it, is very important, because you're not going to be able to get enough money to build the product while you build the product for you to live on, and especially if you've got a family. So whatever strategy you employ, you need to be aware of the cash flow implications. And what that means is, if you are, in my opinion, if you're going to go for a product that will only be pay for itself further down the line, and you don't get venture capital or angel investment, you need something, it still can be a product within your company that generates immediate cash flow, even if it's contracting, short-term projects. I think even the guys from, the guys who do, is it High Rise? Basecamp. The guys who do Basecamp, they, unfortunately I haven't read their book, but I've heard that it's a very similar model where, you know, you do projects while you build your own product on the side. So that obviously keeps the bread and butter happening, and the long term eventually happens. Yeah, so those are the lessons from my past that I've learned.
I was gonna ask you about a tip, but you gave so many tips of what you were doing right and what you did wrong that could have been done better, that I'm not gonna ask the tip. So again, you give
Yeah,
plenty. I can tell you that I don't envy your position that you are in right now. I mean, I see how tough is that position. I was in a slightly similar position a few years ago, and I took on routing and it worked for me. But again, you are the only one that truly knows your situation. It's very easy for external people to chime in and say, hey, you should do this and you should do that, and point fingers and say, go that route. I mean, while you were talking, I was just thinking, you know what? He has the devil there tempting him. You know, come, Ted, come to come and burn with me. But I said, no, who am I to tell that to him? I mean, he knows, you know your situation. And again, I can only wish that you do the best, you take the best possible decision within the information and the options that you have available right now. And again, whatever that direction is, I mean, you have a friend here, and if I can help, I will. Anything to finalize here? We
thanks,
are coming
Monica.
to an end.
Appreciate
Any
that.
last minutes? Any last points here?
Um, yeah, the last point I can make is for anybody thinking about making the jump, yeah, if you've got a family and you really need income and stuff, you might want to really think about it. Try and really talk to your partner about it, because I found it really stressful building a business and starting a family at the same time. I wouldn't encourage anybody to do that. So for those people that don't have those kind of commitments, I say take the jump. And I'll tell you some bad news. You're likely going to fail, but through that failure, you're going to get the lessons that you need for the next step, for the next stage. Uh, and it will be a heck of a ride because you're going to reach 5 years time, 10 years time, and you'll be able to look back and say, oh, wow, I did that. Yes, I stuffed up to this point. Then I learned the lesson. Then I applied it. Then I got better. So for those that don't have family responsibilities, I say, go take the jump. There's nothing to think about. If you fall flat on your face, that's okay. You get up again and you keep going. For those with family, I say get buy-in from your wife. Make sure she understands what you're doing. Ask wife or husband, sorry, for I'm sure there's some ladies out there that are thinking the same. Get buy-in from your better half and make sure they support what you're doing and they understand that there could be financial cash flow pressures that they might need to support you on, i.e. they might have to get the full-time job. Yeah, so if I had some advice, that would be it. Take the jump and get the support of your better half.
Perfect. Very good. That very good. Again, I will try to put some reference to how you can find Ted. Again, C# developer, MVC, Angular. He is the man. I mean, he is the man. Now, again, I'm just gonna put some references about him somewhere here. He should be also joining our community on Slack. That's what I'll be pushing to him right after this recording is done. But again, you either through me or directly to him, there is a way to connect with Ted. Ted, again, thank you very much for doing this impromptu interview.
Edison, my pleasure. If anyone can learn from what I've gone through, blessed.
Cheers, man. Bye.
Thanks, man. See ya. Ciao. Bye.